Greetings, Exiles, and welcome. My name is Jeezy, and today I wanted to share with you something a bit different than my normal video. As in, it's not something that's going to be making you any money, but just like an unpaid internship, it will make you richer in experience. In full interest of transparency, please do be aware that this data is partly extrapolated. If you're interested in exactly what I mean by that, you can visit the raw data section later in the video for a full breakdown. But for now, here's a summary of my results. I averaged about 3% XP per map, with an XP per hour of about 107 million. At this rate of XP gain, it would have taken me just under 32 maps, or just under 3 hours, to get from level 99 to level 100. Since this is a strategy that does not sustain its own maps, I have my expenses broken down into two categories. One which only includes the cost of the Scarabs and the map device craft I used while gaining XP, which came out to just under 2.5 divines, and one which includes the cost of all of the tier 17s and Scarabs that I used in order to front load my map pool with tier 16s for this strategy, which came out to around 4 divines in total. The main reason I'm separating these values is because I decided to run these all as 8 mod corrupted tier 16s, which you absolutely do not have to do. You can run these maps white if you feel more comfortable doing that. I want to stress that the most important thing to do while leveling up in this game is just to not die. Even if you'll be getting less experience running lower pack size maps, you'll level up much faster than someone who's constantly dying. Now that you have a good idea of the costs and benefits of this strategy, let me share with you what Scarabs I used to make it work, and what the strategy is once you finally get into a map. The first, and by far most important Scarab in this whole strategy, is the new Domination Scarab of Teachings. This little guy causes each unique shrine effect on you to also grant 30% increased experience. There are 13 unique shrines which can innately spawn in maps, 2 which are classified as unusual, and are able to be forced on using the Domination Scarab of Abnormality, and 1 which has a chance to spawn via the Atlas passive tree, for a total of 16 different shrines. Now that's a lot of increased XP gain, but getting all 16 shrine effects on you, while it may be technically possible, is very difficult, and I wouldn't say it's worth the investment. This is because shrine acquisition has a bit of a diminishing return-like effect. Each shrine in your map is not guaranteed to be different from any of the others. Even with the Atlas tree notable syncretism allocated, which states that shrines you pick up grant you an additional random shrine effect, you're not guaranteed to receive any new unique buffs. The more shrine effects you have applied to you, the less likely it is you'll receive one you don't already have. I stopped at forcing 8 different shrines on the map, 2 from the Atlas passive tree, 2 from a regular Domination Scarab, 3 from the Kirak craft, and 1 from the Domination Scarab of Abnormality. I was usually getting anywhere between 8 and 11 different shrine buffs, for a total of between 240 and 330% increased XP gain, and I thought that was good enough. You could certainly make an argument for replacing the Domination Scarab of Abnormality with another regular Domination Scarab, as you would get 1 additional shrine, and 1 additional chance to roll Syncretism's extra shrine effect, but we already get plenty of regular shrine effects, and the odds of getting one we don't already have are pretty low. The pool of unusual shrines, however, can only be spawned by the Scarab of Abnormality, which means that the shrine that you spawn from this one will always be an effect you don't already have. They consist of both a Resonating Shrine, which grant charges on kill, as well as extra benefits from having charges, and one of my personal favorites, a Gloom Shrine, which causes enemies to have a chance to explode, dealing a quarter of their maximum life as chaos damage to enemies around them. Now, effects that scale with monster life are always powerful, especially in very dense content. This doesn't require enemies to be cursed either, like the Profane Bloom notable from Occultist, so the explosions will frequently chain between enemies. As you can see in the background, nearly entire screens worth of breach monsters are being deleted in a single Profane Bloom explosion. As the map device has only so many slots for Scarabs, and we still need something to kill, this is where I started tossing in some regular breach Scarabs, just to pump up the number of breaches that were guaranteed to spawn in my maps. The strategy for the map itself is quite simple. You just clear the map, take all of the shrines, and try and move quickly between the last shrine and the first breach to begin clearing all of those. If your build is fast enough, you may just be able to pick up the shrines as you clear, but consider that it can be difficult to pick up a shrine while there are monsters around it, and since we're spec'd into Beyond, it's almost guaranteed that all shrines will spawn a pack of Beyond demons around them, which can make it even more difficult to click a shrine that you haven't already cleared. My Atlas passive tree starts by pathing over to this breach cluster for a bunch of extra chance to contain breaches, as well as more magic and rare monsters spawning within. I come up here to shaping the mountains and shaping the skies, for the tier 1 through 15 maps found, having a chance to become one tier higher, just to try and sustain some tier 17s, since that's how I front-loaded my tier 16 supply for this strategy. Something that had been recently brought to my attention is that singular focus will actually reduce the drop chance of tier 17s in your map, so I have that unspec'd, since this strategy isn't self-sustaining maps anyway. On the path, we also have a guaranteed additional shrine spawn in the map, as well as increased duration of shrine effects, which is very important to extend the length of the shrines for the entire duration of all of your breaches. Up here, I have additional chance for 1 through 15 maps found to become one tier higher. I'm not allocating bold undertakings for any particular reason, it just doesn't affect the strategy and allows me to get to the 3 nodes behind it. Moving up here, I'm taking the additional breach chance from Eve of Invasion. Occasionally this will fill your maps with a bunch of extra breaches, as well as just generic breach chance on the way. I am running Eldritch Altars for no reason other than that they add a few extra monsters to the map, which can turn into Beyond Demon portals. Come up here for some additional chance to contain breaches, and I've taken Flash Breach, as I know that I can handle the additional speed, but if you're not comfortable with that, you can always take Heavy Breach. You'll still have some time left over on your shrines in most cases, so you shouldn't be running out of breach before you run out of shrines. I path up to the top of the tree here for breach monster density, as well as these 2 domination clusters. The combination of these clusters nodes guarantee an additional shrine to spawn, as well as grant the powerful syncretism passive, which causes shrines to grant an additional random shrine effect. The 30% increased effect of shrine buffs does not seem to increase the amount of XP gained, as that's not part of the shrine effect, it's just part of the Scarab. Coming back to the right side of the tree, I have this Eldritch Gateway in order to take me over to the left side of the tree so that I can spec into Beyond. The great thing about all of the buffs to the Atlas tree this league is that we can force Beyond onto the map without a Scarab or using the map device. All this really does is guarantee that there will be extra monsters spawning for us to kill, and this of course is more powerful the more dense the map already is. Pairing that with the Endless Tide Keystone causes Beyond bosses to be unable to spawn. For anyone unfamiliar with Beyond, this causes Beyond demons to continue spawning long after they otherwise would have, as when the Beyond boss spawns, portals and demons will stop spawning altogether. I wish I'd started doing this strategy earlier on in my leveling process. It definitely would have sped things up for me, but I actually only gathered the last 41% of my level 99 to level 100 journey using this strategy, and that's what I meant when I said earlier that the data was partly extrapolated. Allow me to explain. I'd say forgive me if this is boring, but you're at the raw data portion of the video, so it's kinda your fault. I knew that to extrapolate my data for accurate values, I needed to solve for x in this equation, where x was a value that I could multiply 41 by in order to hit 100. So in order to successfully solve for x, I would actually just need to divide both sides by 41. 41 divided by 41 is of course 1, but 100 divided by 41 is 2.439. I now have x. Now what can we do with this? Well, x is the value now that when you multiply by 41, you get very close to 1. I could be slightly more accurate, but I figure it's close enough. Now that I know the value I need to multiply 41 by in order to get an entire level's worth of XP, all I need to do is multiply the expenses and number of maps run by the same value, which I've already done here. The only reason I felt comfortable doing a projection like this, rather than just collecting all of that data myself, is, well, 1, I'm not leveling another character to 100, and 2, the variance of the data was actually quite low. I wouldn't be worried about these numbers being lower. If anything, I feel like they might actually be higher over a larger dataset, just because the Eve of Invasion notable causes there to be a chance for a bunch of extra breaches in your maps, so occasionally you'll probably end up with even more XP than you see here, especially if you do it for an entire level. But as always, the data will be here for your scrutiny. If you find anything that I've done wrong, please let me know. If you have any suggestions for improvements, please let me know. Thank you so much for getting to the end of the video. If you really liked it, please show some support by leaving a like and maybe a comment, and subscribe for more guides in the future. I'm currently taking a break from PoE, so there might not be a new PoE guide as regularly as I would hope, until the new league begins, which I'm very excited for some little teasers for. In the meantime, I'm going to be streaming over on Twitch at ds_Jeezy, playing Elden Ring, RimWorld, just whatever games I can get my hands on to fill the time. You can follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know when I'm going live over there. If these videos do help you out, maybe make your day just a little bit better, please do consider supporting me on Patreon. That link will be down in the description below as well. But please only do so within your means, and it's totally okay if you decide not to. I love that you're here watching anyway. If you're interested in any of the music that you've heard in this video, I'm going to be putting it down in the description as well. It all comes from a channel called Vindsvept Fantasy Music. Go check him out, he's fantastic. And if you're interested in a specific song as well, his catalog is quite extensive, so I will be putting timestamps down below for the first appearance of a song in this video. And I suppose that's it. You're all wonderful. Thank you so much. You pushed me over 300 subscribers now, which is fantastic. I'm Jeezy, and I'll see you in the next one. What, you didn't think I forgot? You thought I forgot, didn't you? No way. How could I forget about my son?